So first of all, congratulations, you are a woman. If some of the audience have ever heard this congratulation message to a girl, to a woman, or to some of nearby of your environments, could you place your hand if you don't mind? No. So it's different with Indonesian context then. Because in Indonesia, firstly, a girl will receive this congratulation message when she had her first menstruations and report that to her parents. Her mother will say, "Oh, congratulations, now you are a woman." This message literally say that now she is a woman because she will be able to conceive a child. So this is the first stage of transitioning into womanhood by biological meaning. The second event is when she's getting married. The community will congratulate her. Congratulations, now you are a woman. This is the second stage of transitioning into womanhood by social meaning. And the third event, a woman most likely will receive this message was when she given birth to her first child. People will happily congratulate her. "Oh, congratulations, now you are completely a woman." So this three stage of transitioning into womanhood was based on the traditional values that a woman identity is completed when she becomes a wife and a mother. So this is once again the traditional values, norms of most of Indonesians. So that's why today I would like to share you a little bit of this story about the transitioning into womanhood in Indonesian women experience on intergenerational early marriage. So this is basically from my research in Indonesia. My name is Dyah Anantalia Widyastari. I'm from the Institute for Population and Social Research, and this is my great honor to be seated here among the professors, my Ajahn. So it's once again it's my great honor, Ajahn Abhijat, especially Ajahn Ari. So why this topic remains important to be discussed? Because most of us aware that in many places globally, women are already received many opportunity for their self-development. Because transitioning into womanhood should be a natural and pleasant experience. But unfortunately, for some women, this transition is often started by early marriage. Early marriage is acceptable for most Indonesian. Indonesian Demographic and Health Survey reported during the past 20 years, since 2002 until 2017, the latest round of the data, reported that at least 10% of Indonesian women have begun childbearing at the age of 18. So it's mean that because most of the childbirth in Indonesia should be occur within marriage, so they're supposed to get married earlier than 18. Early marriage is acceptable for many reasons in Indonesia. The first one is because it follows Quran and Hadith to prevent zina. Zina is unlawful sexual act between unmarried. And the second is the conservative beliefs that early marriage will preserve a girl's values and to protect her innocence, especially because virginity at the first marriage is still considered as a woman's worth. The third is parents also experience social pressures to have grown up unmarried daughters as family shames. So talking about life course, where is the place of marriage? We know that marriage is just one significant life markers for a woman, but the effect will be continued throughout her lifespan. Marriage is a transition into adulthood and womanhood officially because it's marked by the role shifting from a daughter to a wife. And these transitions often involves the leaving parental home to form a union and reside with their in-laws, or they start living independently. And the timing and the decision-making of marriage is also very important for their future trajectories. Studies have shown that women who married a little bit later and more prepared are welcoming their transitions with more joy and happiness compared to those who married earlier and with force. And early marriage remained a vital discourse due to intergenerational transfers between women and their descendants. Many studies also found that girls who were brought up in a family environment where her mothers and her grandmothers are giving married at the early age and also giving birth at early age are more likely to become teenage mother themselves. So that's why today I would like to share to you all to discuss about the rural Indonesian women's transitions into womanhood by exploring the significant life-changing experiences among 3 generations of women whose first marriage all occurred in their teenage. We have 2 sets of family in our study. The first one is Asongan family. In the first generations, the grandmother, now she's 61, she was married at age 15. The second generations, 43 now, she married at the age of 16. And the third generations, the daughter married at the age of 17. So this is in one family. 3 generations of women in one house, they were all married at their teenage. So what is Asongan family? Some of you might wondering. Asongan is this kind of pictures. It's a typical seller, but they don't have a store. So they're selling the product, walking around the bus station or train stations and offering the food, a drink to bus passengers or before they're leaving the station or they just during transit. So our first family was this Asongan family. The second family was a farmer family. We found the same 3 generations of women. The first generation married at the age of 15. The second generation married at the age of 14. And the youngest generation in this family married at the age of 17. You can see here that Katie, now she's only 34, but she already become a grandmother. Very young, right? So how was their feeling? We found that their feeling in welcoming the transit was different by generations. The older generation welcomed their transit with fear, whereas the second generation welcoming as a mixture of fear and joy. But the younger generation welcome it with very much joy. So what makes them different? It's because of the marriage decision making. The oldest generation, as they quoted here, the grandmother mentions that because her marriage was accompanied by force by the parents. So that's make her fear. There are 3 types of marriage decision making in these 3 generations of women. The first one was forced marriage because young Indonesian women at that time taught to practice manut, which is an expression of obedience to parents' order without questioning. And the second generation, in the mother generations, marriage was arranged by parents of both family, but it's on the certain periods of courtship. And she mentions that it's a mixture of fear and joy, because fear leaving parental home and joy in embracing their new stage of life. And the third types of marriage decision making was self-choice marriage. In the youngest generations, she was more confident to decide because she looked at her mother and grandmother, all are married at the teenage, but they're all fine. So if we look at the socio-economic later life, what was happening after a girl married early? What has happened in their life course? If we look at the age of the first marriage at the 14, 15, 16, the age, it's okay. The brown one is the Asongan family, the green one is the farmer family. It is followed by childbirth. It's also we're all in the teenage, between 17, 18, and 16. So what does this imply? It's mean that all of these women were unable to complete their secondary school. So we can see that here the education of the grandmothers incomplete primary, and the mothers complete primary, and the daughters incomplete secondary. And the occupations, these women did not change their occupation since before their marriage. So they remain as it was, as a songan seller or the farmer, or unemployed for the daughters. So attaining low level of educations, women in this study had limited option for earning opportunities. So this is the highlight of this study. So what are the key take-home messages from our study? The first one is early intergenerational marriage remain an important issue to be addressed appropriately, considering its effect throughout women's life course and their families. And women who married early have not been able to improve their socioeconomic status, partly because they attain lower level of education, and early childbearing restrict them from securing better job. Just for your information, in Indonesia, when a girl married, she has to drop out from schools because the secondary school, primary school will not allow their pupil to marry. And the third and the most important one is therefore keeping the girls at school seems to be the most plausible strategy to prevent early marriage and improve their socioeconomic later life, because in our urban samples, the early marriage chain was broken in the second generations because of education. So that would be all. Thank you very much. This is